Hey, it's Chris here today from Huckabones Equipment. Today's video we're going to be doing an overview of the SVL 65. So we'll do what we always do, start at the front, work our way back, have a conversation about the unit, and kind of point out some key facts along the way, so stick with us. Okay, so a couple weeks ago we were able to bring you an overview of the SVL 97, which is the biggest, the baddest from Kubota. Well, now this is the smallest in that track lineup from Kubota, being the 65. So you got 65, 75, and 97. Most people would like to say that, oh, the 75 and the 65 follow the same platform. They do not. As much as you would think that they would just take out the engine and give it small, you know, kind of swap engines around there to give you a little bit less horsepower, they actually are on separate platforms. This is a much narrower machine than the 75. Whenever you're talking width, it's very important. Whenever you start getting into smaller skid steers, again, is 65 inches wide on these units. Usually you're going to see a bucket on the front here is either the 68 or 72, whether it be a tooth bucket or a standard cutting edge bucket. After that, some of the other more important stats you're going to see is, well, how high does it lift? You know, from that pivot pin down here is 118 inches. And again, it's going to lift 4,600 pounds. All needed information and things that you want to know whenever you're thinking about a skid steer. Biggest one of all is, of course, how much does it lift? Some of the other features you're going to see out front is, in this case, has the hydraulic disconnect with high flow and a cab. I should mention that as well. So three big options that 9 times out of 10 you're going to see, especially in the Canadian market, is that hydraulic disconnect, high flow instead of just standard flow, as well as with the cab with the heat and the air conditioning. As you can see today, we're getting kind of bundled up. It's about -5, -6 out here, and some snow expected tomorrow. So always needed. You'll also see that the grab handles are bolted on, which is kind of follows the same lineup as what you see on the SSV, the tracked skid steers from Kubota. So again, follows that more lineup than it does the actual SVL 75. We're seeing some new factories come online in the Midwest of North America there. Looking to see that come online in the next 12 months. It's going to be a lot easier to get your hands on skid steers from Kubota as these new factories get opened up and get production up and ramped up and get going, because once these machines came out about 2-3 years ago, it's been virtually impossible, and it has been for years on end. Trying to get our hands on skid steers has been a difficult procedure. So with new factories, hopefully more production meets that demand there. So now let's skip into this cab and talk about it. The thing to know about it is it's a very dated cab. Yes, this machine is only 2-3 years old, but the cab itself follows along the same lines as what you saw in the SVL 75 right from the beginning. So you're talking 8, 10, 12 years old of no changes realistically. Just to reiterate, like what you're dealing with, yes, it is very spacious. There's lots of room in and around that lap bar, around my feet. Sight lines are fantastic. I can see 365. If there was a bucket on here, I can see tip to tip. You know, again, skid steers are always notorious for not being able to see very well out the back, but pretty decent visuals in and around this unit. And again, a nice roll-up door, always fantastic, follows along the same skid steer lineup with Kubota. Nice roll-up door, don't have to worry about where that loader boom is. I can open this up and get in, get out, and not have to worry about busting glass. Those are the pros. Biggest con is a very dated cab. And I say that is, number one is I'm not a huge guy by any means, you know, about 6 feet tall, 180 pounds, and I'm comfortable. But you guys start getting a bigger guy, you start getting 6'3", 6'4", or you get that weight up there. You're not going to be comfortable. Definitely not all day long. And then after that, where some of these controls are, if I want to change the air conditioning, heat, well, you know, it's getting cold out here. I want to change the heat up. It's underneath this lap bar. I got to lift it up to get in here to make some adjustments. You know, radio, where does it mount? Well, I want to change the radio station, it's going to mount right there. So you got to fully change your position to try and either change out the volume, change your radio station. And then your digital display tells you virtually nothing. Again, it has your fuel gauge and, you know, whether it's running hot or cold kind of idea. And that's about it. Again, there's a few light up displays there. It might give you some icons to let you know what it's doing, but virtually zero information there, which is unfortunate, being as it is a relatively new piece of equipment from Kubota that was designed and came out about about 3 years ago. So again, it's all stuff that in the near future will be changed and adapted, but whenever this was released, it was kind of a downer that they hadn't made any changes at that point. So yeah, that's kind of a conversation about the downside to this cab. So let's move on talking about that engine and the tracks on this machine. Okay, so off the top, one stat that I forgot to mention is your hydraulic flows. Everybody always wants to know if you're getting attachments, what am I looking at for hydraulic capacity? On your standard flow, you're looking at 17.5 gallons per minute. On high flow, you're 27. So again, looking for attachments, those are the numbers you want to know. Now having a conversation about tracks. The SVL 65 comes standard with the H-pattern tracks. The H-pattern is a decent track. It's an all-around track. That's why it's on here to start with. If you're looking in the Canadian market, you may want to consider, or if you're going to be using it in the winter, is that snow track there. Very important to get that, as we've had a couple of videos on our channel demonstrating what it's going to do for you and why you may want to consider that. But again, an all-around track that you're going to see on the SVL 65 is that H track. Pretty standard. You know, you could see a C track as well, depending on what you want. But just have a conversation with your product specialist about tracks if you're looking to get into specialized usages, or just an all-around use for winter use is strongly consider those that snow track. After that, when we move a little bit further back and start talking about the engine bay back here, again, how many horsepower am I going to get with the SVL 65? Well, it's actually 68. I guess Kubota marketing got a little bit ahead of themselves on that one. So you're 68 horsepower on the back here. Again, if you're looking to do some daily checks and everything like you should be, it's very easy to get in here. Opening up the one compartment, flipping up the top here. You're like, oh, the big rad's in the way. Well, it's two bolts that hold it there, and then it kind of slides out of the way for doing your daily checks or whatnot to get in there. Again, if you're looking to flip up the cab, all the same idea with Kubotas. It's a one-person job. It's not going to take you all day to get in there, which is very important because, well, you're not supposed to be in there every day. Getting in underneath that cab, it's whenever you're had some breakdowns or doing your hourly services that you want to get in there. So you don't want to spend all day to service a unit. You want to get back out there, start making some money with it. So Kubota has thought of all that. Know that for the average consumer, or whether it be on a rental contracts or construction, that you want to get jobs done, and get them back up and running quickly. So easy to maintain is basically the long and short of it, to get in and out, in and around these units. So that brings us to the end of today's video. Again, just to kind of recap some of the specs you're going to want to know, is you're going to be lifting 118 inches from the pivot pin up. This machine weighs 8,000 pounds. It's going to lift 4,600 pounds, and your high flow is 27 gallons per minute. Comes standard with self-leveling and H-pattern tracks, and it's 65 inches wide. That should be about it. That's kind of what you need to know. If you enjoyed today's video, please like and subscribe. And if you have any comments, please down below. Thank you.